Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be having an interview with a financial advisor and also my friend. And yeah, this is Michella, by the way, guys. Now, before we get into it, I just got to say, if you enjoy crypto content and news and everything like that, like and subscribe to this channel so that we can catch all your updates as they're happening fresh. Now, I need you to remember though, this isn't financial advice. It's strictly an opinion. And with that in mind, you should be able to enjoy the content on this episode. So today, like I said, we're introducing someone and we're going to get a professional's perspective on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and crypto in general. So I don't know if you want to introduce yourself a little bit.
Yeah, so my name is Michella and I'm a financial advisor. I just got my certifications about 8 months ago. I'm super passionate about Bitcoin and finance in general, and I'm really excited about the changes that are coming to the industry, specifically with Bitcoin and Ethereum and all of that. So even though I'm a financial advisor, I'm not your financial advisor, so whatever I say is not financial advice. Just keep that in mind.
That's it. It's just us speaking, giving opinions. So my main question that I wanted to ask is, what are you bullish on most right now? Are you more in, let's say, Bitcoin? Do you play altcoins? What are you looking at right now? What is your perspective?
Okay, so I'm mainly in Bitcoin for the simple reason that I understand Bitcoin. I understand the fundamentals, and I just really believe in it. I believe in Bitcoin more than I believe in the Canadian dollars, so Bitcoin is really my sweetheart. That being said, I'm not a Bitcoin maxi, as people call it. So a Bitcoin maxi is someone who's only into Bitcoin and doesn't like any other crypto. That's not the case for me. My case is just that Bitcoin is the crypto that I understand the most, and so that's why I'm invested in it the most. And then obviously there's Ethereum. I understand Ethereum pretty well, but I don't understand it 100% because it's such a complicated protocol. There's so much to know regarding smart contracts and different dApps operating on Ethereum, right? So, you got to do your research, and I'm into a few alts, but yeah, mostly Bitcoin and Ethereum.
All right, that's cool. So it's like so I guess would you say you're more interested in things that are like blue chip, so to speak, in crypto, like things that you're looking at them and you're like, okay, Bitcoin, it's an OG.
Yeah.
Has solid fundamentals. It's backing pretty much the entire digital economy up to this point. And people, you know what I mean, they understand that. That's why they're so heavy on keeping it. And Ethereum is like its next biggest competitor, blowing out even Litecoin at that point. Might I ask, what altcoins did you actually jump into? And were they because you liked the project or more just speculation of potential gains?
Okay, so my biggest alt position is Matic at the moment. I mean, other than Ethereum. I don't know, do you consider Ethereum an altcoin?
I used to, but now I consider it more of a market leader as an altcoin. So it's like there's Bitcoin at the head, like let's say the tip of the pyramid, and then the next level would be basically Ethereum and whatever smart contracts, and then there's like the whole umbrella. So technically, like Ethereum is what facilitates Bitcoin's value. So it's
Can you elaborate on that?
All right. So I'm about to give you my perspective on it. So you have Bitcoin, which has a current value of 62,000. If we'll even, I'll just pull up the chart right here so you guys can look at that. So right now it's at about 62,000, right? The only reason Ethereum is worth 4,400 at the time of speaking is because it is worth a certain amount of Satoshis, meaning that it is worth 8%, let's say, of a Bitcoin at the time of us speaking. So technically speaking, all of them get their value from Bitcoin, and every altcoin was designed pretty much on an ERC network or on that token standard. So technically they're backed by Ethereum and Ethereum is backed by Bitcoin. So so Bitcoin is technically at the head and Ethereum is just the most efficient operator at managing its value and making it applicable to other applications.
Okay, I understand your point. But so what do you think about the decoupling of Ethereum with Bitcoin? So right now Ethereum is very much following what Bitcoin does. So do you believe that it's going to eventually decouple from Bitcoin and surpass, right, the flippening, that hypothetical event?
Okay, so here's something interesting. I used to believe in the possibility of a flippening, but I think it's highly unlikely.
Really?
For one reason.
Okay.
Not because Ethereum isn't necessarily superior in what it could do, but, you know, and by the way, like, we haven't even talked about Bitcoin smart contracts, which could be done, but we'll save that for another moment. So I don't see Ethereum decoupling from Bitcoin and becoming more valuable. It'll always be valued in Bitcoin, and that's simply because Bitcoin has established the strongest form of trust. Every crypto head knows that at the end of the day...
I really love that you just said that, because I've talked to so many people that are just ETH maxis, and even though ETH has a lot more potential in its operations than Bitcoin does, I really think that Bitcoin is the leader because of the network that it holds and the trust. And also it's more decentralized than Ethereum, right? Like Ethereum is not 100% decentralized.
Not. And with POS, it's going to be impossible to actually keep it that. As let's say decentralized as it is. The second it moves to POS, it's going to be done, and they understand it. They understand that it can't stay decentralized if it's POS, because the people who have the largest stake in the network will eventually take it. So my issue with Ethereum is that in order for me to trust Ethereum, Bitcoin has to be on top of it.
I like that point of view.
Yeah.
You're the first person that I hear have that specific point of view, and I like it because it resonates with mine, but I've never actually put it into words, so that's really cool.
Yeah, no, well, I'm glad that, you know, because most people look at me like I'm a little bit crazy. They're like, Bitcoin, it's old, it's going to go away. I'm like,
Boomer coin.
But you could trust it, and the reality is all these things are valued in, let's say, how much Bitcoin they're worth, and Bitcoin is valued in how much we trust it. So it really goes to show who's the real market leader. Because at the end of the day, it's a POW network, meaning that when it's proof of work, for someone to actually hack it is so expensive that every second could cost millions of dollars. So it's like for someone to do it, they need a quantum computer to even attempt it. And then even then, if they hit it with a quantum computing attack, they won't be able to hurt the POW network. They could only gun for PKs, so private keys.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's like, okay, private keys, there's not much you could do. But most likely, they'll be gunning for specific people's PKs. They're not going to waste an attack on the network to go for everyone's PKs, because that would be complicated. They would more likely go for someone like Craig Wright or the original Satoshi wallet. Those would be the guys who they would attempt hacking. Like people like us who are just getting into the space or who've been in it but aren't like, let's say, like, you know, 500 million or 500,000 Bitcoin holders, right? Like, we're not the target. Yeah, exactly. But we aren't the target. So as a whole, the network is just a lot more stable than ETH will ever be. And the last thing I wanted to say was, if quantum computing were to actually attack it, what would end up happening is that quantum computing would become the norm for mining after.
Yeah, that's true.
And then that's
a whole other can of worms. Yeah, so the crypto space actually is the technology that has been adopted the fastest in all of human history, which is freaking incredible. And I think that the rate at which the technology is developing at right now is not going to slow down. It's just going to accelerate. Yeah. And I think what's important is just to stay on top of the news happening in the markets. And I know it's hard. Like, it's really hard to be informed about all of the right tokens and projects that are happening. And that's why, for me, I really like to stay focused on Bitcoin and Ethereum, because that keeps me busy enough, you know, like there's enough development happening there. And also, like, keeping up with the times allows me to trade. So I make a lot of my gains trading versus investing in altcoins. And so keeping up with the main two right now is good enough for me, because I do things outside of crypto. Crypto is not the only thing that I do. So for me, just like focusing on those main developments is what's good. But it's really cool to follow YouTube channels like yours, because you go really deep into new projects and you explain it. It's very educational and it doesn't take up a lot of time. So, you know, it's really good to be subscribed to these types of YouTube channels that are educational, that can help you get ahead in the markets without having to spend like hours and hours doing the research. That's your job.
Yeah, I'm the one who takes on those hours of research, so y'all could just watch a 15-minute video.
And we thank you for that.
No, thank you for appreciating it, because you know, like I like knowing that the work is like seen and absorbed. And to all my viewers, because I know y'all are watching, my love to all of you. We're almost at 1,000 subs, and when we break that mark, it's gonna be
hit that subscribe button.
Ding ding,
Let's
like they're doing the thing, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely, it's been a hell of an experience getting into all this. And I guess the other question that I wanted to ask was, you mentioned you play mostly Bitcoin and Ethereum. Do you play it as in the spot market, so you buy and sell high and low, or you're doing futures and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I trade mostly perpetual futures on Binance and FTX. So those are the two platforms that I'm using right now. I know that you use KuCoin.
Yeah.
I haven't looked into it. I'm just comfortable with Binance and FTX.
Binance is safe. It has the name. It's established.
Yeah, but I should be looking into KuCoin. You know, it's more decentralized. And but yeah, futures. So, you know, it's honestly... What I would say if you're thinking of starting to trade is just don't trade with too much leverage. I've never traded with more than 4x leverage, and I've been able to 6x my position in just a few months. So, you know, there are gains to be made even if you're being safe and conservative like I am. So, you know, don't look down on trading, because I used to hate traders because I was like, oh, it's too risky, it's like gambling, but it's really not. Like, if you believe that the price of Bitcoin is going up in the short term and long term, there's no reason why you shouldn't be trading. That's my opinion. Yeah. Unless that you're not informed and you don't know how.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
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 And I was actually about to say, it's a good thing you give the leverage, like telling people low leverage, because I'll tell you guys a horror story. I did a high leverage trade, and I lost like 4K USDT in like 30 minutes, just because I caught when Bitcoin was at 67K around then. I decided, all right, I'm going to enter because the news has been good recently.
Oh, so that was recent.
Yeah.
That was like a few days ago.
No. I'm talking like when it went from 67 to 30K.
Okay.
Like that's what it was. So initially, when I saw the pullback at 10%, I added margin. So
I think the last all-time high was 64K.
It was 64. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I got it mixed up. But it was 64, and it was the all-time high a few months ago. And what it was we had like a 10% dip, and my initial thing was like, okay, I'm just gonna add margin into this position. Like, I'm gonna take that margin call and hold my position. And what happened was literally after that 10% dip, it became like a 30-40% correction. And it was painful afterwards, because then it was like one of those things where I'm watching the money go down, and like initially I'm like, this doesn't make any sense, because the wick, it was two big wicks. I remember it was and then all the way down to the bottom of the graph. Yeah,
it just shot down here.
And the thing was when it hit that wick, you know, I was like, okay, this is gonna bounce, because crypto usually has V-shaped recoveries. And I, you know, took another margin call, and it cost me another 2 Gs. And then at 4K, I was there looking at my losses. The position was still going. I still had $1,000 in the position. And I was like, it's not worth it. I'm just closing this because I can't sleep right now.
Oh, yeah, it's stressful. And so that's why you got to trade with what you can afford to lose, right? Like, never trade your life savings.
Never trade your life savings. Well, look, like at the end of the day, like I don't mind, because right before I lost that 4K, I won it playing on lower leverages. Yeah,
okay, and so here's my theory. The only reason that I started trading was because I have alpha on the market. So for those of you who don't know what alpha basically means that you are making more in gains than the average market is returning. So the average market regarding like the stock market has performed 40% in the past year, which is good for the stock market, but compared to what I have in crypto, like it's nothing, right?
Yeah.
And so that means I have alpha, so that means that I've made extra gains that I can afford to play with and take more risky actions with. And that's why I started trading, because I was like, okay, if I lose this money, it's okay.
Yeah.
I didn't lose it. It turned out good, but I could have lost it. And so you just got to be careful and be strategic. Like, don't ape into things. Don't FOMO. Like, that's the worst thing you can do. Guys, if you're thinking of buying Shiba right now, don't buy Shiba. That's my opinion. You know, I know pumped, but it has very little fundamentals.
And don't catch the tops every time, guys. I know some people, the second a project takes off 200%, their instinct is to jump in. And I'm like, look, even if you're lucky, the max you will get is 50 to 100% gains, but your chances of losing all that
are so much higher.
Are so high.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not worth it. Like, I have a rule. If something is up in a stock market 100%, you should be out. But I don't really like stocks that much. I'm more crypto. So for me, crypto is like, if I see 100%, that means I'm thinking it could potentially go another 100 or 200%. I'm willing to take that risk on an altcoin because the worst case is a 50% correction. So like, mathematically, it'll make sense in my perspective. I like to take riskier trades. And if I see something up, let's say on crypto, and I see the trend just started, and there seems to be a high amount of volume rolling in, and all the indicators are showing good signs, then I'll consider jumping in if it's a bit high. But it's risky, and I'm letting you know that you could lose money doing that.
And that's how I feel about Matic. So actually, Matic is my biggest altcoin holding. I know you asked me before. I didn't really answer, but yeah, Matic it already went up a lot, right? Like it started low, it went high, and I bought a bunch of Matic because I really believe in the fundamentals and I believe in its use case, and I just believe in the project, so I'm okay to hold it long term. So when I buy alts, it's really for the long term. Like I'm not gonna sell Matic in the next few months. I mean, I might cash out some gains, but you know, it's a long term hold. So yeah.
No, and you know, here's the thing that's interesting about Matic is it's definitely the most successful layer 2 solution currently. It's got the most market cap going into it, and they're starting to create their own little apps and metaverses and things like that, like Blocktopia. It's an altcoin that I called previously on the channel, and they're being built on Polygon. You know, and I actually see a lot of potential in that metaverse, just because like it's got good fundamentals, good people behind it. So it's like the guy who did the PlayStation VR, he's one of the founding members.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So it's like if he's on the team, all right, VR isn't that developed yet, but it's starting. And he's the first guy to do it. And I've actually...
AI also, there's exciting things coming to crypto.
Yeah, it's going to be insane.
Yep.
And so, like, out of curiosity, like, you said that you also mess around with stocks and stuff like that. What kind of stocks are you into more than anything?
To be honest, I own 2 individual stocks, which is Tesla, which was the first stock I ever bought, and Kathmandu, which is it's like an Australian company, because I lived in Australia about a year ago. And those are the only 2 stocks I own, and then I own ETFs. So I own the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. So I'm very conservative. Like, I'm a very conservative person, and for me, the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 are like my safe investments, and then so is Bitcoin, and then Ethereum is a little more risky, and the rest of my alts also. So that's what my portfolio looks like, but I would say like 85% of my portfolio is in crypto right now.
Okay. Yeah. I think. Well, I'm like almost like 99% in crypto. I think the 1% is just like my cash to exist. You know, so it's like we are the exact opposite.
Well, so so here's the thing: is like I also have like a nice like emergency fund. Like those are my stocks.
Okay.
So that's the thing is like I view my emergency fund as my stocks, and also it's like I don't really like. I view that as emergency money because I don't want to be cashing out of crypto and I don't want to trigger a taxable event because as soon as I start paying taxes on crypto, you know, like things get complicated.
Yeah, they really make it complicated.
They take away a lot of your money. So, Canada's not the best place to be cashing out in crypto. So, if you're in other countries,
jurisdictions, Portugal is apparently really lenient. I've been thinking about like
getting a residency there. Yeah, or
something. Definitely,
So when you have a lot of assets in crypto, it's definitely worth thinking of because the taxes here are just incredible, right? So, trying to just push that off until I figure something out.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that is tomorrow's problem.
Yeah, not today.
That is not our problem today. You know, and I guess the other thing too that I wanted to mention was like you said ETFs. Do you do any mutual funds or anything like that, or are you not interested in those?
So I'm a part. Okay, so I said I was invested in the Nasdaq. I'm actually invested in like a derivative of the Nasdaq, which is a mutual fund that's actively managed by the company that I work for. Okay. So that's the one ETF that I'm into. But yeah, I think I was telling you before, I'm going to get my broker's license so that I'll be able to offer clients the Bitcoin ETF, which is super exciting, and other mutual funds. So yeah,
that's the best thing at that point. You know, and I could imagine like night and day if we were to walk into like your company or something like that. Currently, like the guys you're with right now, they'd look at me and they'd be like, "You're this heavy on altcoins," and they probably look at you. They probably ostracize you for being in crypto.
No, they do. So. Yeah, the amount of debates I have in the lunchroom. Yeah, people get angry and walk out.
Yeah, the worst part is they would see me and they'd be like, "Oh my God!" Everyone would pull all their hair out if they saw my portfolio. They'd be like, "What? Yeah. Are you sick?" JPEGs.
The worst part is all of these people are curious and they ask me unlimited questions and then they'll just keep arguing and find reasons not to invest. Yeah. But here's the thing, as soon as my company starts offering that ETF, they're all gonna jump into it.
And then you know what? They'll buy the ETF before they buy the actual coin. Yeah. And that's what blows my mind. It's like if you believe in it enough to buy the ETF, Get the actual crypto. At least you could transfer it around in your wallets. You know, you have actual ownership. The whole point of this thing was to be able to have ownership over whatever assets you have, you know? Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's kind of being missed a lot in the current space because people are like, I want to get Bitcoin, so I'm going to get the ETF, but like you're not getting the ownership, which is what you want, you know?
I understand your point, but I think that like that's sort of kind of like the gateway into crypto becoming mainstream. Yeah. Because I feel like once people are going to start investing in Bitcoin before even knowing what it actually is. And then when they're going to realize how much money they're making from it, then they're going to get interested and then they're going to learn, you know? Yeah. Like that's how we're going to teach people and that's how it's going to become mainstream is through the ETFs that are coming out right now.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You know, ETFs, they bring exposure and they bring market cap. Mm-hmm. You know, like I think after Bitcoin, the ETF launched on like Tuesday last week, mm-hmm. and like you know we broke all-time highs after.
In America, yeah. In Canada, we've had it for a while.
Yeah, but you know like
the American market is the leader. Yeah,
it's the Americans that are throwing money at things, you know. And I just found it funny because you know what I remember years ago, they were saying. JP Morgan was like, we're not doing nothing with it. They were buying all of 2017, all the way through that whole dip, by the way. And not only that, but when, Warren Buffett was like, Bitcoin is rat poison square. And then
Warren Buffett didn't use a laptop until like 5 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and you know what? Like he's literally riding on all his old things. People would give him they only give him merit because he did things a long time ago. Yeah. You know, and even then, I think there's way better traders and investors out there, you know?
Right now, my favorite mainstream investor or, like, investment manager, wealth manager is Cathie Wood. I'm sure you know her. Yeah.
Would you say she's an influence to you? Like?
Oh, yeah, 100%. She's, like, the coolest. She's, like, my favorite mainstream
she's the crypto
professional.
Queen?
Yeah, she's just really smart and she's always like thinking ahead and she's not succumbing to the pressure of like the mainstream people trying to take her down. So many people try to take her down and she just doesn't give a shit. Like she's just like, no, this is what I think. Show me the facts and I might change my mind, but until then, I'm not. And I think that's how everyone should be. Like people should do their own research. No one does their own research. They just like watch YouTube videos. Yeah, well,
you know what I mean? Like, YouTube could be research if you're listening to
the right people.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know, like, for me, I'm the kind of person, I actually prefer reading my research. Uh-huh. So, like, I like if something comes out, and I'll catch it sometimes in a video, I'll go and I'll find whatever links and sources, and I'll read it myself. Because you don't ever want to be at the whim of someone's interpretation, right? I like to hear what's been said, read it, and then be like, this is going to be my own opinion. Mm-hmm. And that's another important thing about investing and crypto in general, all these things. It's like you need to formulate your own opinions. Because a lot of this stuff right now, there's no financial advisors involved, really. Like, for the most part, they're not, especially in, like, smaller coin markets. So if you really want to get involved into it and catch those gains or the speculation, so to speak, you have to learn to do it yourself. Because there's not many financial advisors who will play altcoins for you, you know? It's definitely...
Not too risky.
Yeah, they'll look at it and be like, that is no good. Whereas guys like me are like...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. But is there any closing or key points you would like to give to the viewers about just like things that can help them avoid getting wrecked, you know, have better like interpretation on how to do things, like just your own opinion on that?
Okay. Everyone has their own portfolio and their own risk tolerance, okay? So this means that depending on how much you can afford to lose, that's your risk tolerance. If you're closer to retirement, you can't afford to lose much. But if you're young, you can afford to lose more because no one's dependent on you. All I have to say is no matter what your risk tolerance is, no matter what your portfolio looks like, make sure you allocate a small percentage of your portfolio, even if it's just 1% or 5%, put it in Bitcoin. Okay, you need exposure to Bitcoin. That's my honest opinion. I think everyone should have exposure in Bitcoin. And then if you want to go a little more risky, you know, I think you should learn a little more about trading and just like the crypto space in general. I really believe that this is the biggest wealth transfer we will see in the history of humankind. I think this is about to blow up, and I'm really excited for it.
All right, cool. Yeah. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed this interview and, you know, soaked up all that knowledge given today. If you enjoyed the content and you watched this far, like, comment, and subscribe so that way we could, you know, get that feedback that we need. Relatively soon, we're going to have our Patreon set up, and you're going to be seeing a lot more interviews like this and entrepreneurial things where it's like teaching people how to make money without, let's say, just crypto, like drop shipping and doing other things. We're going to be covering a lot more of that soon. So, guys, take care.